Welcome to the next episode of the CAPB Podcast. Delighted to have on another veteran with an incredible business. Welcome, Adam Glover of Battleforge Nutrition. Welcome, Adam.
Hello, dude. It's great to be here. Genuinely super excited for this.
We're excited to have you, mate. Unfortunately, again, people may notice we are flying solo. Paul, in his day job, has been at a conference today and isn't going to make it back in time. So you are just left with me. But we can make it work. We'll still make it work.
It's all good.
Adam, you served for 15 years in the Royal Military Police.
Yes, I did. Yes, it was a lot. It was a good career, right? I don't like people have a connotation. I think I've spoken to veterans previously where they get a bit like negative about the whole experience. I honestly, I would do it all again, like because it's made me who I am today. I was quite fortunate in the jobs that I did, quite varied and did lots of things. Just for anyone listening, at no point did I hold one of those little speed guns in Camp Bastion and tell you that you were like, at no point that never happened. So yeah, it was a good career, right?
But yeah, I mean, I again, you served for 15 years, mate, which is an incredible career. And I think one of the things I love about the podcast is that we have people who've served 35 years, gone into business, and we've had people who've served 3 years and gone into business. Everyone who served is a veteran, regardless of what they've done and achieved in that career. So it's just great that we have this platform, the opportunity to speak to veterans who've gone into business. So before we get into the business part of it, if your career was a highlight reel, what are the bits that stick out?
Oh, so I think I was quite fortunate in that I joined in 2010. So it wasn't Telic and early Herrick, but the focus was still very much there. Do you know what I mean? You joined knowing that's exactly what's going to happen. You are going there to do that job. And obviously not being T-Farms, but being attached to T-Farms during my deployments was something that I'm incredibly proud of. The highlight reel, I would say, Herrick's, I was on Herrick 16, so nothing like I said, not like the early Herricks. I'm not for a second suggesting that. But I still had a good time, and I feel like I had a lot of connections with the people I served with over time. Quite fortunate to bounce around the battle space quite a lot and serve with different battle groups. Other highlight reels, I'd probably suggest I served at Wiz for a few years, weapons intelligence. If you remember those guys, they were called the combat wombles, where they just go around the battle space and pick up like weapons and stuff like that people have found and stuff like that. So it was all very much like analyzing and doing scene exploitation. It's now called MI Exploitation Battalion. That's what they're called now. It used to be called Wiz. Okay. You might remember the Joker. Do you know the Joker holding the card?
Yes.
Do you remember that? Yeah. So that was the unit badge of that. Was like it was all Wiz and had a bomb in it. It was cool. That was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, and I was quite fortunate to deploy with them into the Middle East, doing some exploitation training and RSOI stuff for a lot of Middle Eastern forces up in the tribal lands, which was quite cool. What else have I done? I've done the nice little holiday in Cyprus on the UN tour, like most people have, which was for me pretty chill. Like it was good. I enjoyed it. That was when the beard started to happen. So you might all notice I have a beard. The beard at that days, because it was throughout, I think it was after COVID. Yeah, I've kind of jumped ahead, but that was when COVID and then relaxed things happened. I started to talk to the med center about facial issues around shaving every day. I think you know well.
You got the golden shit.
No, sir, not at all. but then COVID happened. It went, oh, here's your lifetime shit, and you never have to explain everything again. I was like, sweet. And then I was very fortunate to become qualified as a close protection operative and do a close protection tour overseas, which was really cool, where you're obviously bodyguarding whoever you're looking after, whether it be a general or a diplomat or whatever. And that was, again, an experience. I'm not for a second in any of the fields I've done saying I am an expert in those things, because I'm not. I'm genuinely what I believe to be a jack of all trades, master of literally none. Like that's kind of...
I have to point this out, and I've said it a few times, right? I don't think, genuinely, anybody should ever play down the deployments. There is absolutely different roles on deployments. There's the guys, kicking doors, front line, getting in the action all of the time. But I think regardless of when you deploy or where you deploy, it has its challenges. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was MedCorps, so you've got deployments where you're supporting the battle groups, supporting infantry sections, infantry platoons on the ground. And you've got tours where you're working in the hospital. And even on some of the early telic tours and some of the telic tours where you're working in the hospital, people were getting rocket attacked they may never have left Shiba, or the Cobb, as it morphed into the Cobb, but they were still on an operational tour where, do you know what I mean? So never play it down, mate. And also, close protection, that's ace, mate.
It is a cool job, and I'm very fortunate in that the people I served with were some of the best soldiers I've ever seen. Like very, very, very high level people. And people may not think that about the CAP badge that I was in, but that organization and how they operate, you've got to think of the people that they potentially look after across the world. Very public facing, right? Very much high level stuff. So there has to be a certain type of person. And they just every day I go into that building, working in that environment, thinking, yeah, this is cool. And one of my things when I got out, I said to myself, I was like, right, would 13-year-old Adam look at his career and go, yeah, that was cool? Because all I wanted to do was join the army as a kid. Right? That's all I wanted to do. I used to steal recruiting books from the library because where I was raised in the Highlands of Scotland, right? It wasn't exactly, the mean streets of London. It was the Highlands of Scotland where the village would shut itself off in the winter because the weather was that bad. But I always knew early on that was going to be me. I always knew that I was going to, regardless of what it was, I was joining the military. And so after getting out, to think that all of the spread that I've done, I look at that career and go, yeah, I'm cool. I'm happy. I feel like I've done everything I wanted to do, and that's pretty cool.
And mate, I think you should be proud, mate. I think it's what I like as well is the fact that you've had the opportunity to do, what do they call it? Well, I guess what is it if you're normal military policing?
General policing duties.
Yeah, if you've done general policing duties, so you've experienced that element of it, and then you've moved in the CP space. We had another guy on, a guy called Jack Wiles, who was RAF Regiment, and he served. He now has got an amazing company called Rugby Buckets, doing really, really well, and he's from South Wales. And what he was, I say RAF Reg, but what he did, he served in the Queen's Colour Squadron, doing all the drill and duty stuff, and then SFSG. So he had the opportunity to experience the incredible stuff of doing all the drill stuff, because it is incredible, phenomenal, the opportunity to be involved in all that, ceremonial stuff. And then also at the sharper end of the tip, working with SFSG. And I think the opportunity to experience those different things is cool, man.
Yeah, it's that variety. I think there's a really good thought process in the military, right? Where if enthusiasm makes up for any lack of skill, and I wore that on my arm as much as I could, because if I just threw myself into something and said, "Hi, I'm Adam," and popped out of the door, like, "How's it going?" Like, it would eventually get me to a place where I was feeling like I was contributing and feeling good in that space. So that was how I looked at my military career. Of, you know what, I'm not going to be here forever. Eventually, my knees, like every old soldier, will break down and my back will start to go. So I may as well just give it all I've got now and see what happens.
I love that, mate. I love that. Let's talk about life after the military. If you could just tell us, what is Battleforge Nutrition?
Yeah, so Battleforge Nutrition is a nutrition consultancy and education business. Okay, and what I specifically do is I help coaches provide nutritional solutions and strategies for their clients through specific nutrition strategies for specific goals and education. Because, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this podcast and yourself have opened up this horrible thing, which I severely dislike mobile phones and anything to do with technology now, but opened this and found a ridiculous number of contradicting things on the internet around food. You've got all of the Andrew Tate tight t-shirt brigade gobbing off about eating 250 grams of steak, 9 million eggs in one sitting off a chopping board. And then off the flip side of that, you've got some person talking about how meat's going to kill you. And I was just like, this can't be, no. So I wanted to create something that I could help coaches get better results for their clients from a health and fitness perspective, and talk to clients in a way that made sense to them, rather than, oh, this is the mTOR C1 pathway and this is how carbohydrates. No one cares about that. No one cares. They just want to be, okay, what do I do and how's that kind of work? Okay, and that's why I created the company.
I think it's you're right with the mobile phone stuff, and it's like in my early days in the military, back in, when was it, 2000, I did my PTI course, right? And I was PTI for 7 years in the medical corps. And it's like, you did the PTI course. That was back in the day when you did 2 courses, a class 3 and a class 2 course. But the nutrition bit was literally like a half day bit. You know, it was more important about, let's work out how we're going to throw people around this all course. Let's work out circuits. Let's work out, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. And obviously even PT and the physical training element of all of it has like massively improved in the military, the way they focus it, the evidence behind it. But nutrition was always something that just was an also ran, you know. And now there are so many different diets out there. There's so many different things that you think, okay, you want to lose weight, because everyone wants to lose weight, or everyone wants to be stronger, and it's like, do this, do that, Atkins diet, paleo, you should start fasting, you should try juicing. It's almost like too much information. So you just go, well, I'm just going to try and eat less and move more.
Yeah,
you know?
And the reason I remember very, very specifically that moment where I started to take control of my health and fitness, if that's what we want to call it, right? Early years career, I was a young, early 20s lad. So I did what most young early 20s lads did in their early career, and spent all of the time in the mess. Like, of course I did. I was drunk primarily for the first 3 years of my career, because that's what everybody did. You could still smash the tests. You could still do everything. You were still deployable. You were still fit for duty, all that good stuff. But nutrition and phys was like and if you were into it, it was like, oh, you're weird. Go be a PTI, right? But I remember thinking, probably when the military changed, you know, that drinking culture was around, it was around 2014, 2015, when it all kind of changed. And I'm thinking, well, that's dead now, and that's not a thing. And certainly in my CAP badge, it definitely wasn't a thing. And I just went, well, maybe I should look at this and try and be better at this. And I just remember looking at all the stuff thinking, why can't I eat bread again? Why is some idiot walking through the supermarket telling me if I even look at bread, I'm going to die? And I just thought, do you know what? Let's go learn. Let's go figure some stuff out, because I'm a believer of, I have a saying I talk to coaches about: think science, speak client. The science is the start point, right? You should know that, right? That should be your baseline. But no one, like I said, no one cares about like how this fat moves that nutrient around, or how that vitamin acts with that mineral to create a response in your body. What they want to do is be the best version of themselves. That's why they're there. So it's your duty to talk to them in a way they understand. One of the main points here, one of the main things I can say, you can go through any top corridor of any HQ building in the British Army right now, and I guarantee you will find thousands of Huel. Thousands of, like, you know, Huel, the shake, everywhere, because it was a simple and easy alternative for officers who were strapped on time. They spent all their time answering emails, bouncing from meeting to meeting, and they wanted to look after themselves. So that was an option, rather than just going to NAFI and grabbing a rollover or whatever's available, you know. So I just figured I want to learn about this, and I want to create something that I'm passionate about, which strangely is nutrition.
It is interesting, because when I saw Battle Force Nutrition, and we've had Tom Collins on it, you worked for him, you would just, from a career transition point of view, think, this guy was probably a chef, man. He's probably spent his whole career in and around food. He understands it. And when it was like you were at Royal Military Police, it was like, when did you fall in love with nutrition? And when did the idea come where you thought, I want to do this as a business?
So falling in love with nutrition was an afterthought after realizing I wanted to become really good at phys. Right. And I'm very sorry if I destroy the viewership on this video right now, or the podcast, is I started looking at CrossFit. All right. And I saw Josh Bridges, if you know who he is, the little midget Navy SEAL dude with the tat. If you think he's got like a Three Musketeers tash going on, like tash, and then like the goat, like He ran across the line, long hair, doing Murph that every soldier knows, right? And he was doing that, and he was screaming and shouting, like, that looks cool. I want to do that. That looks awesome. So I just started to think, well, the training, I'll do the training and I'll be barely average at it, like I am with most things. Great, cool, awesome. But the nutrition, maybe I can start looking at that and start to kind of learn a bit, because that's something I can really learn about and be good at. It's not limited by my athletic potential, which, spoiler alert, is quite low. It's quite low. But the nutrition side of things, that's just me learning, assimilating information, understanding it, and implementing. Well, what does that sound like? That sounds like every military course you've ever been on. Well, I can do that. Yeah, I can assimilate information, interpret it, and understand it, and then apply it to whatever life. And I remember listening to some podcasts. There's a guy called Ben Coomber, if anyone's ever heard of him. He runs a company called Awesome Supplements, and he had this. It's called Ben Coomber Radio. It was like the longest serving fitness podcast in the UK for ages, and he spoke about nutrition loads. And I just started listening to that, all because one of my mates, who's a civilian, he said, "Oh, you Adam, you look like this guy. You should check him out." I look nothing like him. I don't know why he said it. I look nothing like him. And so I started listening. I started to get more interested. And I started to care about the science and started to listen. And I thought, oh, this is cool. Okay, I'll learn about that a bit more. And I remember like being deployed away, just like reading research papers and studying and understanding. And I started to go, do you know what? Shall I just do a course? Shall I just spend some money? Even if I get qualified as a coach and don't use it, at least I've got the information myself. But then I started to talk to people about stuff, because you know what it's like. You hear people say random stuff and you're like, I hear what you're saying, dude, but maybe eating 17 eggs in one sitting is not good for your stomach. Like, I know you're trying to get healthier and trying to look after yourself, but maybe that's not a good idea. And so I started to think I could help people naively, right? Just like, oh yeah, I know what I'm talking about. They'll all listen to me. I'll be ninja at it. I'll be awesome. And that was kind of how it was formed. The idea of I could be a coach here and I could help people. And that was like the initial was, I want to just coach people. I didn't realize I wanted to be a consultant and help other coaches.
Yeah.
And that was very much the beginning of what Battle Forge became. Weirdly, the initial incarnation of Battle Forge was Battle for GED, because I thought I was being really cool. Like, you're not writing Forge, you're putting for GED. No. Like, I specifically remember when that first came out, because it came out as a YouTube channel, right? Where I thought I'd be really cool. And like most things in the military, when you do something that's a bit weird, what tends to happen? People go, what are you doing, you absolute lizard? Like, what are you doing? And I went, it's okay, I'll be fine. So I tried to be a bit like different about it, but then it became something, right? That momentum.
Mate, I think it's really interesting again, and I'll link it to some other guests we've had on, right? We've had a guy on, Steve Kelly. He's been on Naked and Afraid. He's got a company called Southwest Survival. He's Royal Artillery, commander trained, and he is all over social media. He's got a really good presence, embrace it. And he said, you're a mug if you don't. If you want to go into business and you ignore social media, you're missing a massive opportunity. And he said, and he was blatant on it. He was like, people took the mick out of me because I'm starting TikTok, because I was starting a YouTube channel. He said, but if that's the space you want to move into, you can't just expect to leave the military and the next day have a platform and have experience on doing this kind of stuff. And I think like being brave enough, because at times it is brave, to go, I'm going to give this a go, even though I know people are going to mug me off. I'm going to get a bit of stick for it. Do you know what I mean? You mentioned about Huel and stuff. And I think one of the things that is interesting about nutrition, from my point of view, is, for me, if it's easy, I think then that's okay. So, for example, when you pick up like bars and you're like, it's a thing bar, that's perfect, that's exactly what I need. I'm hungry. This is better than me having a packet of crisps. Getting this is better than having a meal deal. And actually, there's no science in my head behind that, other than I'm the guy, mate, who'll buy stuff at the end of an aisle because it says it's healthy. I'm like, sign me up, man. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'll just go for it without the science. One of the things that you said, which I really liked, was, because like Wayne and I, our producer, we in the job we do, we talk about meeting people where they are, and we talk about coaching leadership teams and doing stuff. And you got to meet them where they are and understand them. You said, what did you say? the
Think science, speak
science
client. Yeah.
be client, because you could sit there and say, this is the perfect diet to give you every single macro, anything you need. And
Yeah.
I go, great, but I don't like those things. And I haven't got the ability to cook those things. And I haven't got the
Yeah.
time to get those things. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you know what I mean?
It's honestly, when you said meeting that's something else I say to coaches. Where I say you need to meet the client where they are, not where you want them to be. If it was a perfect client and you were solving the issues perfectly, you'd have a 6-figure business before you know it, but you'd never be tested, and you'd never grow from that. You never experience, understand. Like, we all have people in our lives that are frustrating, right? We all do. Where it's like you try and get across a point and not listening. There's always a reason why they can't do it. X, Y, Z. Newsflash: you're the coach. It's your job to solve the problem, not their job to just blindly follow you like a sheep. So if they're telling you, "Oh, I can't eat breakfast. I blink. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and all I've had is a cup of coffee, and I've looked after the kids, and I've done this, or I've got a job that's super high stress." You, as the coach, saying, "No, breakfast is the most important meal of the day." Yeah, good one, knobhead. That's not helping anybody.
I feel
Right?
seen.
It's just,
Anyway.
but it's.
I cannot eat breakfast, and it's a weird one. And when you see all the things that you should eat this and you should eat granola and porridge, I do a lot of running, and if I've got an event where I'm running, I literally have to, like, it is so uncomfortable trying to eat before I do these events if they're in the morning, because I just don't. Like, we're in a time poverty crisis because I've got young children, and this is another thing. It's like when people go meal prep all week, and I'm like, I've got 2 kids. I'm not going to make myself sit up all make myself meals all week in little Tupperware containers, and then make my kids something. And then my wife also works. She doesn't want to be interested in my meal prep. So it's trying to get that balance. And I think a coach and then someone who understands nutrition, there's a fucking market, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so when I started coaching people, right, and when I got qualified and I was coaching people just one on one, as in I wasn't marketed to coaches, I was coaching people one on one. I worked with a few people, I got some good results, people giving me some good feedback, and I thought, this is a learning process. I'm feeling good here. I'm getting good at this. This is awesome. And I realized that actually I could help more people if I switch my focus, if I can market to coaches directly. There is a market for it in the sense of, yes, there's money to be made. But for me, that it has been and never will be about, I'm trying to get to this financial milestone. Yes, of course, I want to be thriving, and that's why I left the military before full contract. I left the military at 15 years because I believed that in the 9 years between now and my full contract ending, I could grow far more in the business than I would in the military, from a lifestyle perspective. And also, I'd missed a hell of a lot of time with my daughter. But when I left, she was just turned 8, and I'd been deployed for 3.5 to 4 years of her life. And I was like, that needs to stop, because I don't want to be that person. So the financial aspect, fantastic. It'll come as a byproduct if I'm good at what I do. But my point is, if I can help as many people as possible understand that there is no golden perfect answer or magic pill that's going to get you the results you want, then I'm doing what I should be doing and helping people in the way that matters. One of the first coaches I helped, I remember him very specifically, and I'm going to recommend him to you as somebody come on this podcast. He's still serving. His name's Dean Hammond. Genuinely, he'd be an incredible person to come on the business. His work ethic is out of this world. However you want to skin that, genuinely, I absolutely reach out to him. You might have heard of him. You might have seen him on Instagram.
Follow him on the socials.
Yeah, so he would be very good to get on. But I remember just helping him once, where he was probably placating me and saying, "Oh, you know this stuff. You probably already knew the answer, but he was trying to help me." But I helped that person, and I began to help his clients more and more. And then I think it was probably 6 months into helping him, he went, "Adam, you give me a day back with my children I didn't have." I was like, "That's the thing. There it is. Black and white, nice and simple. That's how I help people. That's how I have the most impact, by waffling shit about nutrition as much as I can and saying, hey, eat bread, it's great. And also help coaches by buy back time and grow their lives and enrich their lives in my service that I offer."
I think, mate, I think it's an incredible service, and I also think it's a cool niche. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. We've had Tom Collins on the podcast. I will always shout out Tom Collins because he's in his 40s, like me. He's got kids, like me. Do you know what I mean? And I can relate to Tom. I can absolutely relate to him. Even though he's a full-time coach, I can totally relate to him. And when we had him on, he didn't claim to be all singing, all dancing. I've got every answer to your problems. What he said is, if you're a part of Team TC, you've got Battle Forge Nutrition to support nutrition. You've got Plug-in Rehab to support the rehab bit, and I'll do this bit. And it was like, what a brilliant idea. As opposed to just sitting there saying, come to me, I'm going to tell you to eat less, I'm going to tell you to move about more, I'm going to give you loads of circuit sessions and loads of training plans, and I'm going to say, here's some meal prep you should do. He's like, I'm not claiming to know that stuff, but I've got a team like we've got in the military. You surround yourself with good people, and you know it's all about the sum of its parts. But for him to have a nutritionist on side and a rehab specialist on side, that gives you that package. So I think it's an incredible thing, and I also think it's really required because, like I said earlier on, it's like you can just get map shock. You know, I'm 44 this year. No, I know I don't look it, right? But it's like, if I put on a bit of weight, I'm like, right, okay, cool. I need to lean. I need to lose some kilos. I want to do it. Right, what's the best thing? Right, I'll replace some meals with maybe some protein shakes, and I'll try and do this. And I just can't. I just don't stick to it. I don't understand the science behind it. But then there is so much. If you just Google what's the best diet, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm gonna eat less crisps, try and eat less chocolate. I'll cut out beer for a month, and that should help. Do you know what I mean? So,
I think one of the big things to pull out, as you said, I've worked with Tom for a very long time. He's an incredible human being. I said this to him early on. I said, people don't buy what you do; they buy who you are, and that's the most important thing, right? Any answer you want about nutrition, you can go and find it yourself. But it's how the coach or the person you've invested time in and money, of course, because that's the whole point of this. It's about them talking to you in a way that you understand it, in a way that you resonate with it, in a way that you feel, okay, I can listen to this guy because he's talking. He's not talking in science and losing me in circles, and I can't follow what he's talking about from one thing to the next. He's giving me some solid, easy to follow points and not overcomplicating it, which half the time is what, like you said, we're in time poverty. None of us ever have enough time, ever. And there's never a magical place in the future where we're not as busy as we are now. So the goal isn't to, I'll be able to do it when. It's how do you do it now? And what's right now? Do you know what I mean? And that becomes such a powerful thing when you have the ability to listen to the person across from you and go, okay, I'm hearing this, and not being like, tell me how that makes you feel. Like that's not me, right? I know a bloody good psychotherapist. His name's James Elliott. James is incredible. Like, he's in my phone as the brain. What that man doesn't know about the brain isn't worth knowing. Like, he's incredible. He's incredible. But it's about us understanding, okay, if we can talk to you in a way that makes sense and help you just in that one moment, break past that one barrier, that could be all the difference you need right now in this moment. Not, here's a meal plan PDF of 2,000 calories a day, go eat more broccoli. I don't need to tell you to eat more broccoli. You could probably tell me, yeah, it's pretty good for me because it's leafy green veg. Sweet. Eat more broccoli. I don't need to harp on that fact. What we need to understand is actually, do you know what? You're busy as hell. How do we find a way for you to be the best version of you in the confines of what you are now, right? In your lifestyle and ability now, what can you do, and how long will it take you to get to what this goal is? If you were to give me a massive goal, sorry, I'm going on a tangent here.
No,
if you were to give me a massive goal and say, I've decided I want to, I don't know, soldiers seem to do this weirdly, I'm going to run the London Marathon with a fridge on my back. Okay, right. Well, you training fasted and not eating any food at all is a problem, because if you're going to do the training, we need to think about fueling. It's not saying, right, you will get up an hour earlier and eat breakfast. No, it's about finding the solution for you in that moment.
Mate, I love that, right? And I'll tell you, I say a lot of running. Before that, did a lot of football, body it feels like it's been hit by a train after football, so I do a lot of running. And it's like, when you look at, if I was to ask a running coach, and this is what happens, you see it a lot. Well, what do you eat before? Like, what did you eat before this ultra, the Brecon and Cardiff ultra? What did you eat for? And people are like, I ate this, and I ate this, and I eat savoury every this, and I take this many grams of carbs every. I'm like, I can't compute all that information. For me, it's like every single thing works for different people. Do you know what I mean? Some people need more, some people need more fluid, some people need more whatever. And there isn't just one formula that fixes it. So having like a bespoke nutritionalist, do you know what I mean? I see it as a total win, mate.
And that's what I say to coaches. Because my goal isn't to work with every single coach, right? I'm not cold DMing every single person that says online coach in their Instagram bio. Because what I'm trying to do is build a repertoire of coaches who interest the fuck out of me, that I want to work with. Like, we talk about Dean Hammond, right? He's performance driven. He loves helping people achieve true performance and their best version of themselves. Tom Collins, triathlon, high rocks, Ironman. That's awesome. I work with a coach. Her name's Chloe Brennan. She's a world champion strong woman, and her clients are all elite level strong women and strong men athletes. And I'm like, they really get my gears going. It's like, this is awesome. Yeah. I work with coaches who are just fat loss, but that's also powerful. That's also powerful because it's different niches.
Mate, that must like, for you, that must like keep you on your toes, because like you said there, you've got like training and nutrition for a strong man or strong woman versus a triathlon versus a high rocks versus weight loss. None of that is a quick chat GPT nutrition thing, is it?
No.
Each one's like specific,
100%. And this is where knowing the person is the most important thing. I can talk to you about science, right? We want to talk about endurance. Okay. Upper levels of endurance, carbohydrate intake for an athlete, say doing an ultra marathon, 10 to 12 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. That's carbs, just carbs. So that mass to me, I'm 92 kilos because, I'm not exactly a racing snake. Never have been. Trunk is probably what I'd say. But so for me, that's a kilogram of carbs a day if I was doing an event like that. That's just carbs. That's 4,000 calories of carbohydrates.
Fucking bag of potatoes, man.
That's how are people like? So this is where like understanding the person uniquely in that moment. Because if I ask you to eat that of just rice, potatoes, and broccoli, well, that's a ridiculous volume of food that you're never going to do. So we have to be smart. We have to understand the person. And you're right, it does keep me on my toes, but it's also bloody rewarding. Like strong man, strong women athletes, getting them to make weight for competitions and then getting them to perform, like post 24-hour weigh-in feeds and all that sort of stuff. It's fantastic. I work with Olympic weightlifting athletes who compete at like European level. So snatch and clean and jerks, getting that right. But again, like Tom Collins, this isn't me saying I have the perfect answer. This is me working with a coaching team to achieve the best result. And that's the thing. I vibe with the coach I work with because I understand them and go, okay, this is cool. You're going to do that. That's awesome. This is what I'm thinking. And what do you think? And it's not about me knowing more than them. It's about them expanding their team for more growth and more service to the clients, which is the whole point of it, right?
Mate, I can see how much like passion you've got towards this, and how much like I can see it like brings you joy when you're talking about the athletes. I think it's mega.
Yeah.
Right, Adam, let's talk about like, so how long has the business existed?
So I always get confused by this. So I made my first YouTube video, why I'm starting YouTube, in 2019.
Perfect.
However, I didn't start coaching until 2021.
So in that time of being, a business owner, running a business, doing the business stuff, what's like the biggest lessons that you've learned from a business point of view?
Failure isn't fatal is the big thing. And look, I'm not Alex Hormozy. I've not got a nose strip on talking about, this is what hard feels like, or Sean Williamson talking about positive affirmations or some other mental shit. I have failed a lot, and it's hard to do. It's when you actually fail and you're like, and you've got that pit of your stomach feeling like you failed. Do you know when you make a mistake and you're like, damn it, that's horrible. And it's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling to then go, oh, I've got to pick myself up. In that moment where it's actually hard, it's difficult to do. When you've made a mistake and there's no other way around it, you've done a thing, it's not worked, something's gone wrong, whatever, you found a hole in your system and it hasn't worked. It is a horrible feeling to then pick yourself up from. But then picking yourself up from, knowing that you're going to make mistakes again. It's not fatal, but it is a massive marker on the way to success you're chasing. It's a massive marker. And that's the biggest lesson I've learned, is that I am going to make lots of mistakes. And it's going to be hard and it's going to be difficult. And I have to pick myself up. But I'm not just me. I have an incredible support network of people around me. And I know maybe lots of people say this, but I've got an incredible wife who supports me in everything I do. And I'm very, very grateful to her. I'm not just saying that because she's sat over there. Right? So I've got a wife, I've got a support network, I've got friends, I've got a family, I've got people who I listen to, I've got mentors and coaches all the coaches I work with. We talk and we converse and I say, here, I'm struggling. I did it with Tom Collins the other day, where I was like, mate, I've been out of the army officially for 3 months. What the fuck have I done? Do you know? And it's that is the lean into it, because you're going to fail, but it is the right thing to do. Because you know that that's the only way you grow. And that's the thing I love. Well, no, scratch that. I don't love it. I hate it. But I know it's I know it is the right thing. I know it's the thing that has happened.
Mate, honestly, there's two things I'm going to say. The first thing is, this is our 27th, 28th podcast, right? We started this as an idea. If we had stopped when we started making mistakes, mate, we wouldn't have got past the second episode. Yeah. Because it's like everything's a learning experience, but you've got to have that will to do it. You've got to have that will to improve. You've got to believe in it. And I think that's one of the things, we've had so many guests on the podcast who've said the same thing. I made this mistake here. I made this mistake here. We had Danny Bornoff in the Dead Ground, and he was like, on the podcast, he was like, there was a time where I had less than £3 in my business account. Because, he'd made a decision, he said £3. And there are so many times where you think, yeah, I'll punch out here. I'll punch out. This isn't going to work. But it's that, it's that, like you just said there, failure isn't fatal. And I love that. And the second thing I'm going to say, which I say a lot, is people leaving the military is like a hugely scary, brave thing, especially if you leave before your time. So you've left out of choice. To do that and to go into your own business, the risk, there's no guarantee of success, mate. It is phenomenal. And it's like, as I say, you had no guarantee it was going to be a success. And I just think it's something that all military entrepreneurs, so you've got to take a minute where you say, yeah, that's all right. This was a right decision. It's huge, mate.
It's no, and I appreciate that, man. It's you are 100% right. There is no guarantees in this. There is only one. There is only one guarantee. I'll change that. Is if I do nothing, it will fail. And there is no, like, I remember, I think it was officially March was my first ever month where I didn't get a pay packet, and I was like, hold on a minute, where's the
oh god,
where's that? That's been there for my entire adult life. Why is it not there now? And I'm like, oh no. and it just kind of gave me that moment of like, well, let's go. Like, you've got no choice here. But it's just also incredibly freeing. It's also incredibly freeing. I can sit here and wallow in self-pity and go, oh no, it's not going to work. Like, or do you know what? So let's just, it won't be perfect, right? I'm going to continually fail throughout this time, and there'll be things I do and everyone's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, but I can't see another way that I can have this much joy. You said it yourself. You see the passion, because I am genuinely passionate about it. Like, genuinely passionate about it. I don't want to turn away from that.
Mate, we see that. We see that from like literally, that's if there was a golden thread between every single guest. And we've had guests on, as I say, who've served 35 years, who've served 5 years, who've served in every CAP badge, in the corps, in the infantry, and all sorts. The golden thread is they have got a passion for the work they do. Like an absolute passion, and they've gone, this is something I love doing. This is something I'm passionate about. I understand. I'm going to make this work. And that, whether that's like getting stuff shipped to your house and boxing it in your loft and posting it out and adding the bits to it, whether that's starting a clothing line when you don't even understand the grams per square meter in cotton, but you're like, no, I really want to be part of this. It's the passion that keeps people going, mate. And you have got it. And when we're talking, it's nutrition. So it's something that we all consider every single day, you know. And as we move forward, whether that's, you know, just in normal life or people who are keen on sports and focus on different events, it's an important part of our life, whether it's just to stay trim or whether that's to perform better. And I think, mate, you've got an incredible business supporting some brilliant coaches, because that's the other thing. To be credible, you know, they wouldn't have you otherwise. You wouldn't make a team. You wouldn't make the cut. Do you know what I mean?
And that's actually something I have to remind myself every so often. It's like, okay, you do know what you're talking about here. Like there is a level of expertise. Not that I am an expert in the sense of I'm not, but if it wasn't the case, I wouldn't be part of those teams. And I am incredibly grateful to those coaches who believe in me enough to allow that to happen. Because I don't know about you, right? So you created this podcast. Imagine now it grows and grows, and it is going to, right? It's something that you're passionate about. When you first hand off something, a part of that business, to somebody else, is a huge moment in your life because it's your baby and you've created it. So here I am. Hi, I'm Adam. Let me help with your nutrition education. Like, whoa, no, it's my thing. I got my systems.
Yeah.
It's a massive moment for them. So when they trust me, I fully understand how powerful that is and how much of a responsibility I have to make sure that happens well.
Adam, I love it, mate. Credibility and trust. You know, otherwise you wouldn't be part of the team. I absolutely love it. Adam, mate, I could literally speak to you all night, and if I could get away with it, I would kind of like craft out how I could get like a nutrition plan. But I guess what's next? What's next for Battle Forge Nutrition? What's the short-term goal? What's the sky's the limit goal?
So the short-term goal, which I'll put towards the end of this year, is to help as many people as I possibly can. Like I want to get to December going, okay, you threw yourself at every opportunity. You took the bull by the horns and you just tried and you helped as much as you can. There have been opportunities that have happened this year already that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have said just, okay, I've got this. I'm now educating coaches on how to be better at nutrition coaching, which is mind-blowing. I'm doing that on a weekly basis, which is insane. But this year is about just give it your all. Like that stupid Matthew McConaughey reel that everyone shares about, don't half-ass it. Like you may as well go after it. Because that's what this year needs to be. It doesn't matter about financial. Like, hey, if I need to be one of those guys that goes into a surplus store and buys a Rat Pack, like I'll do it, right? You know, eating potato and beans for my breakfast. Like if that's what needs to happen, that's what needs to happen, right? But it's just give it everything this year. Know that you've given it all. Long term, hey, of course, like we want to create a life, right? You want to be proud of what you've done. You want to be, okay, I did the thing. So that comes later on down the line. For now, all I know is the only thing I can control is my input. It's the only thing. Everything else, nothing I can do about that. My input. So if I wake up and try and give my best that day, if that day is 20%, if all I've got to give is 20% that day because stress, life, whatever, I'm ill, whatever, family problems, whatever, at least if I give that 20%, it's 100% of what I can give that day. And that's, if I can get to the end of the year, then I know I've done my thing.
Adam, I love it, mate. I absolutely love it. I love your energy. I love your passion talking about nutrition. And I've got no doubt that you'll continue to support coaches, continue to support individuals, and we will see a lot more of Battle Forge Nutrition. A lot more. I can't wait for it, mate. I absolutely can't wait for it. Also, your beard is, again, I don't know if I've mentioned it enough, but it's literally like fresh out of Lord of the Rings, man. It's a serious fucking beard.
So I call it Operation Ginger Gandalf because I don't want to be compared to Gimli the dwarf. So that's what this is.
I stepped away from saying Gimli But you know what I mean? It was like, don't say Gimli, don't say Gimli, don't say Gimli.
So the hair is like that's it. Like that's going to be a year-long thing, right? At least a year. But I need more length, more beard. The beard I want to kind of come down here. Like we need more. It just needs more.
Viking beards all around. Listen,
Yes,
Adam, thank you so much for giving us your time on the podcast. I can't wait to follow your journey. I can't wait to share this podcast, and hopefully more people connect with you, more coaches will connect with you, and you continue doing your great thing. So thank you so much, my friend.
Cheers, dude. I really appreciate it. It's been incredible, Matt. Incredible.
Take care, mate.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.